Alright, welcome back. Hope you're having a good day. Before I get too far here, I do just want to remind people that I do live in Florida. It's September. Still got plenty of grow time left, so I'm not really doing things out of season. But you know, if you don't live someplace tropical, Indonesia, I know I've got a lot of people watching from Indonesia. But if you're not someplace tropical, don't work these, you know, like this deep into September or whatever. Or, you know, do what you want, but I'm just saying, I do mine with the idea that I'm in Florida here. But anyway, I made a video with this guy and its mother back in June, and I could have sworn that I actually updated this one since June. I know I updated the mother, and I was looking, and I really actually kind of found I have not updated this since June. And I've checked the apex repeatedly for wire bite, and I kind of, you know, that's where most of the growth is concentrating, and I kind of just looked right here and I haven't really seen much. And then the other day I kind of noticed I got a little aerial root dropping there, and so I just kind of picked it up to see if I had any other aerial roots dropping, and I realized that down here at the base it's actually cutting in even more. Don't really know why, because generally speaking it does get more pushing out here. And then, you know, it has been since June. It was June 4th actually, so it's been more than 3 months. So I'm going to take the wire off today, wire it back up. What I'll do is, I know it bit really hard, but what I'll do is wrap the wire the opposite way. That way it kind of bites in the opposite way. And I'll go ahead, and as I'm taking the wire off, I'm going to prune some of these, you know, longer branches. I probably won't defoliate everything, but I do plan on cutting most of the growing tips, especially where it's growing strong. I may leave some branches I see that are kind of growing in some really good spots I'd like to leave. Some of the smaller ones I may not prune at all, little skinny ones, but I'll just kind of see how it goes as I go here. Some of the wires bit in. Alright, so the wire's off. I find it pretty interesting that, you know, you can see a little bit of some scarring up top there, just a little there, but the place it was biting it the most was actually at the very base. I guess that might teach me a little something about the growth habits of it, but anyway, I'm going to prune it. When I do wire it again, I'll just see what I get here when I prune, because you know, with something that grows rapidly like this, you know, one school of thought is just let it run wild and then chop it and then start forming it from there. But then sometimes you really wind up with a trunk with just like little sticks that stick up out of it. So my philosophy on this was to just kind of like keep it relatively tame, wire some of the main branches so that there's a little bit of movement in there, just not like where you're just letting it grow unchecked for a long time or whatever. When I wire it again, I probably am just going to wire up those. It was basically 4 branches. I mean, I had this one with the apex and then these two together. Maybe I'll even just kind of wire them up a little bit differently, just to even crisscross the wires a little more, just in case there's any marks on the trunk that start showing up. But first I'll prune. Alright, so after cleaning up, I do just kind of see these 2 branches are darn new close to parallel with each other, so I'll just take the weaker one off there, the one that was kind of growing down. And kind of the same thing over here. I'm not really sure how I missed that while I was pruning it. And I'll pop that one off too. And actually, now that I look at it here, that one as well. And then I was going to try to reuse that wire that came off there. But I would like to wire them out a little bit further than I had before. They've obviously grown, and I want to make sure that up here on the top, so that's all I really want to wire, is just to, you know, get that initial movement in. Plus I'd like to have the wire a little bit longer so that this is, you know, probably potentially going to be like the back branch. I'd like to also just keep that down as far as I possibly could, and the wire only came to here before, so I want to stretch it out to the end. So I do want to try to make sure that I'm wrapping this around the opposite way, and I don't know why sometimes I feel so dumb when I try to think of that, because every now and again I feel like that no matter how hard I think about that, it's always the same way, and I think, man, I'm a math teacher and I can't figure out how to wrap things the opposite way. And again, even if sometimes when you start going, it's amazing. It is amazing. It's kind of why I'm not a geometry teacher, but it's amazing how sometimes when you look at, really it kind of comes off in the shape of a spring, and then when you go to try to coil it the opposite way, it still looks relatively the same. But I do believe I got it right. And no matter what, you know, you got to make sure that you're not going to ease it into the old scar, because that's the whole reason you're trying to wrap it the opposite way, is so that, first off, you're not making the old scars any worse, and then also just so that if and when it cuts in again, it cuts in differently. And there I see, it's kind of as I'm going here, another branch is coming out just right parallel with that one that I don't want. This is definitely the one I want to make sure I come all the way out the end on. Got that, tried to leave it a little loose out here and stretched it a little further than I usually would have there. That's where it was cutting in at. Alright, got her all wrapped up again. Left some room out here. I had almost a little bit too much movement back that way with that one, so I'm just going to try to go down a little more than I had it. So you do want to, I don't know, it's so hard to describe because you do want to get the wiggles in there, but in my opinion it still has to look kind of natural. And the movement is to make it look older than it really is. But then sometimes if you get too many wiggles, it starts looking artificially done, and I don't like that either. And then I have to remind myself that I'm not really envisioning this tree being anywhere near done until, I don't know, 6-7 years or something like that. And it's going to be very, very different than it is now, that's for sure. So let's try to do that. Alright, so this time, you know, this is the back branch, and that one was sticking way up, so now I've got it kind of down a little bit better. And just, you know, getting some initial movement in there.